New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you over here.
And Raymont Anderson over here.
And this is New Thought today for the 17th of February. And look at that. Who else we got in the studio with us today? My dear co-host, Reverend Elzia, Sekou, slipping in the door just before we were about to lock the door on you. We were going to lock you out. You didn't get here soon. We were about to lock you out of the whole thing today, Z, but you made it, so, which we're glad to see. It's the 17th of February. It is it wrong to say Chinese New Year? I don't think so. It's the first day of the year of the fire horse. And having been born on a fire horse year and a Sagittarius, I don't know what you folks are going to get this year, but I got a feeling it's going to be a pretty rambunctious year here around the New Thought Media Network. So, Z, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome aboard, sir.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here on such an auspicious day, if you will. So just raring to go and see how much fire we can generate, how much energy we can generate to propel us to that next level of whatever it is we're trying to get to.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of bringing the fire, our guest today, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, no stranger to the program, no stranger to the network. He shows up almost anywhere, pretty much anytime I ask, you show up. I like that about you. And welcome aboard, sir.
My pleasure. Great to be with you both again and ready to set something on fire. We those metaphysical arsonists, just setting so the phoenix can rise from the ashes.
I like it.
So the phoenix can rise from the ashes. All right. Well, that puts a damper on how I was going to start today's show because we do have a little bit of tough news this afternoon. It's a day of remembrance now. It's a day of mourning. Reverend Jesse Jackson made his transition overnight. It was announced early this morning. And Raymond, I know I saw a post from you already about it today. And I imagine for many in the African-American community of America, this one's going to hit harder than most. So, gentlemen, somebody get us started. Let's say some words for Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, well, I'll jump right in because first and foremost, he was a fraternity brother of mine, and I got a chance to meet with him several times. I actually worked on I'll say part of his first campaign that he did for president in '84 when he came to Florida. And at that time, I was a professor at Florida A&M University, so kind of worked with that as a professor, getting my students involved and as a fraternity brother. So he will sorely be missed. A great mind, a great activator, right? You think about these guys were young kids when they got involved. I mean, when they started working with Dr. King and stuff, they were young men, him and that whole crew. And so to think about leadership in that way, about young people getting involved with leadership and taking a powerful role, and not to, and just, you know, just to even think about Dr. King. Dr. King was only 32 years old when he took over the leadership of his organization. So when I look at, you know, Jesse and the leadership, I'm sure he fell under working with Dr. King and Operation Push and the Rainbow Coalition and all the things that he did. Um, there is a template there. There is a role model there of what it means as young people to start sustainable organizations, and the role model is there.
Yeah, thank you. Raymont, anything to add there? Or
yeah, so the first thing that comes to my mind is the idea of, I mean, yes, of course, mourn and honor and remember. But one of the most powerful things we could do to honor him is to pick up the torch and carry on when there's so much that's going on where people are attempting to do the same thing they do with Dr. King, whitewash and downplay and minimize how much of an agitator he actually was. And so rather than allowing the mainstream culture to, you know, basically emasculate him, you know, per se, that's what they're doing is, but he was so, and, you know, peace and yeah, but however, there was fire in there in terms of. So for me, one of the biggest things is honor, celebrate, and remember by picking up the torch, by doing what is mine to do in the name and in the energy of he and all of the ancestors who went before him in terms of, okay, so now what? He's gone on into life after life. We're still here. What's mine to do? So for me, that's it. Pick up the torch and act.
Right on. Beautiful. You know, and I think you hit on something. I know you do. You're hitting on something really important because it wasn't that long ago we did the same thing to John Lewis and whitewashed his history, his upbringing, his rebel fire, if you will, to turn him into something that is palatable to the white folk in the room. And that's kind of my question. Now, I'm going to admit I don't know as much as I probably ought to, and this is I'm realizing I got some homework to do. Besides the two of you gentlemen, and who else do you see that is picking up that torch? Who's been willing to say? And I can't believe that it feels safe to pick that torch up right now in the culture that it is America, but who do you see, or what can we do to encourage or support those for the next generation to pick that torch up?
Wow. You go first?
Oh, yeah, because I mean, because mine's gonna be short. I'm from that era, so I don't see that now, and maybe I'm out of touch, right? But when I think about the era that I came up in and the activism and the leadership that we participated in, it was one of a poem that I'm sure Jesse was fairly enamored with, which was The Sermons We See, which says, I'd rather see a sermon than to hear one any day. I'd rather one to walk with me than just to show the way. The eye is a better pupil and more willing than the ear. Advice may be misleading, but examples are always clear. And that is the crux of the matter. And we learned that as fraternity brothers. So I know he knew it, and I'm sure he stepped to it. And I don't see that kind of a thing. It's like I was just involved with a program, and the presenter said, you know, we have to get to the point to where Pookie and Ray Ray come together and merge. We don't need all these different things going on. There's only one problem to be solved, but one thing to understand. And we got all these things. We need to come together in a unit of oneness to solve the problem. And you can still have your approach and do your thing, but it is the oneness that the Rainbow Coalition was speaking to. It was the oneness that Operation Push was speaking to. And they brought in SNCC in the student, they brought in all the organizations still doing their thing, but there was one Rainbow Coalition where we're going to get things done. And so I ain't seen that yet, but I know it's coming. It's the reincarnation of the Phoenix, as my brother just said, is about to happen. And so I'm gonna turn it over to him right now.
So for me, it depends on where I'm looking for the energy, right? Like, so looking for the energy, the first folks that pop into my mind would be individuals like Justin Pearson and Justin Jones. You know, they're shaking stuff up in Tennessee regarding, you know, they've been silenced and kicked out and stuff for bringing that energy into the space.
Right.
When I think of, you know, of course, Bishop Barber and all of, like, it's okay. So depending on the generation and whatnot. So I'm also looking at the era that we are in, this technological era. It's like, okay, so how does that energy show up in the social media sphere of, and there are many, you know, influencers that are doing, you know, TikTok and things. And one of the first people that comes to my mind, he's more of an educator, would be Khalil Green. Like, he's one of the first, very young man. Like, he might be in his early 20s. He's got to be in his early 20s. And he brings very in-depth Substack lessons regarding this is why the ape trope and the monkey trope, this is what it traces back to in terms of racism and policing. This is how it started as slave catchers. And he's very, I mean, woo. So looking for the energy of who's in front doing some kind of work. Those are some of the people that pop off for me. In terms of grassroots, I'm not really not in the same way. I am not really privy to where on the grassroots level do we have. Yeah, I'm not really seeing that. I'm seeing grassroots through the interwebs and some things happen. Jasmine Crockett, like, there are people in certain positions that are stirring stuff up, of course. But we need more.
And yeah, and you bring a good point there in terms of the grassroots part, right? Because those organizations and those individuals were grassrooters, right? Which was part of the appeal to the masses, if you will, because it wasn't highbrow. It was down to earth and practical. I need to see it so I can do it. Or I need to, you know, if you show me what needs to be done, I can do it. And that's what right now we are still, I believe, in the rhetoric stage of a new incarnation. And I mean, we got enough rhetoric. What we need now is some application. And that's where I'm trusting that we're moving, because we know there are no accidents in the universe. So we know that that is being kindled and rebirthed right now.
Yeah. Folks, there's already one of our pieces of homework for the week. Get on your Chat GPT, get on your Google search, get on wherever it is, and start to answer this and ask. You know, I did while you gentlemen were talking, I did a real quick search, and a couple things came back: the Black Youth Project 100, Black Radical Congress, the Say Her Name movement. There is still a continuation of the Rainbow Push Coalition, and other places where we can be vocal supporters, financial supporters. I do want to say I see some of it. I do see some and not to try to co-opt this, I do see some white folk that are willing to stand up. A woman that just jumps into my head, I've been watching a lot lately, a woman named Monte Mader. She was brought up as a white nationalist, brought up as a Christian nationalist, and was indoctrinated from day one in that belief system, and has since denounced all of that and does a great job of deconstructing these things from a white perspective as to how white folk can be involved in the deconstruction of these old systems and such. We also, I heard the two of you say something really important there in different ways, and it's something that's been up for me an awful lot lately, and this is directly relational to our topic, New Thought. The New Thought movement is being more active, being more embodied. And you know, we've been teaching the philosophy for an awful long time. Dr. Raymont, you and I were talking about this in the green room beforehand, that we teach people that we say we don't teach people what to think, but we teach people how to think. And yet a lot of times it looks more like we're teaching people what to think. How can the New Thought movement do a better job of embodying what seems to be a very necessary movement towards the social active side of life?
You want my honest answer?
Yeah.
So we need to go back to the concept of what is embodiment? Like, and I mean real, what is embodiment? And it could be anything. One of the things that forces us, in my opinion, to distance ourselves from our emotions and feelings and our body and all the other things is we like to metaphysical malpractice and bypass. So we move away from things like, oh, you're scared based upon what's going on in the political sphere. Let's address it. Bring it up. The same thing we do when we're treating. Bring it up. And now let's add spiritual principle to it and figure out what to do. Versus, well, there's no such thing as separation. It's all oneness. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But the moment we jump into the whole thing of, well, we need to stop talking about separation. Well, if we really go there, then that means there are three. No, can't do that because 3 is a number and it identifies 3 individuals. So there's, okay, well, wait a minute. How do we have a conversation? So what? God is, wait, I'm confused. There's 3 men, 3 different names. Like, how do you talk about different foods if there are no different foods? Because there's only oneness. So we need to get into a space of, what am I honestly feeling? If I'm angry, if I'm afraid, if I'm whatever it is, I need to be honest with myself. And then how do I get honest with what I'm feeling, the emotions in my body? And then say, now, what does spiritual principles say regarding this thing that I'm afraid of, whatever it is, this thing that I'm worried about, whatever it is. I need to bring consciousness and body awareness into the same space. We as ministers and practitioners, we have to set the tone, because these other people, they don't know what's going on. They come on, they have no idea what we do. For real. So we have to set the tone. We have to start teaching it in classes instead of bypassing things, right? When I was licensed, I told y'all this story before. When I was licensed, one of the licensing ministers called me a liar to my face because I mentioned something that was in an Emma Curtis Hopkins book that she wasn't familiar with as a scholar of Emma Curtis Hopkins. I mentioned it because I've taught it. I'm familiar with it. And so I bring it to their attention. And then when I scan the pages and send them, there's no apology, there's no recognition.
Right.
That lack of apology, lack of recognition is also one of the reasons why we don't embody the teaching. We keep things at a distance because we don't want to deal with it. She clearly, in her privilege, did not want to address that she was wrong. To embody the teaching for real, we have to say, number one, Holmes does not belong. Charles Myrtle Fillmore do not belong. Emma Curtis Hopkins does not belong on a pedestal. Remove them from the pedestal and start living as we are them, they are us. Everything they did, so can we, and more, as Yeshua taught us. We need to stop bowing down to their memories and start, same thing we said with the Honorable Reverend Jesse Jackson, pick up the torch and move. We don't like to do that because it involves sweat and honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, you just bring back some of my youthful days to think about some of this stuff. Because first and foremost, because I'm Jesse still on my mind, and so when we think about Operation Push, we might need to resurrect that idea, because Operation Push stood for People United to Save Humanity. That's what stood, United to Save Humanity. And so that was the impetus. And the whole idea of the Rainbow Coalition came from Fred Hampton, who was a Panther, who we all know the story. If you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie. That he took that idea of the Rainbow Coalition from Fred Hampton, whose idea was to bring all of the organizations, the gangs, and whatever was on the south side of Chicago to come together to rid the community of ills, right? That is a universal idea that we all teach as New Thoughters. How do we save humanity, and how do we create a container where everybody has a place and we can live into that statement, a world that works for all, from the rocks to the people? And that's what we have to begin to look at it, and not, we have the understanding, we have the tools, we got the AI, we got all the things. Now we need to put it together. I can have all the parts of a bike, but if I don't put it together to make the bicycle, it's really not a bike, even though I got chains and wheels and spokes and gears and all of that. It's just that. But when I put it together in a oneness, now we have a bike, and we got a whole new frontier we can step into.
I love what you gentlemen are saying, because for about a year now, I've been writing a book. I've written it about 4 or 5 times, because every time I think I finally figured out what I want to say, something else like, let's do it this way. And, but what you were saying, Raymont, is right. Holmes and the Fillmores and Emma and Melinda Kramer and the Brooks sisters, they gave us something great. And they too were kind of rebels in their time. This was radical stuff when they were writing, when they were preaching, when they were working in the world. This new thought concept was radical. How dare you say that God is within you and that you are a divine expression of God's life? Like, holy no, you can't say that. And what New Thought, in many ways, we've become so mainstream in some of our, those radical thoughts are now accepted as like, yeah, well, of course meditation works. Shit, we all know that. And of course affirmations work. And we've, in many ways, my opening chapter at this point focuses in around, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do with this great gift that was given to us, to take it more embodied, more active, however we're going to say it, out into the world? And you guys have given me a great idea here today, because I've been watching the monks and their march from Texas to DC. Folks, if you don't know what I'm talking about, man, welcome. I'm glad you crawled out from underneath the rock today. The what the monks have been doing, and I kept looking at this, and I'm saying, why in the heck aren't we out there? Why is New Thought not out there as a philosophy, as an okay, I almost said organized religion, forgive me, but why are we not out there? Let's go get an Olympic style torch, and let's start in LA, and Agape can lead it, and we'll make Michael walk all the way across the country, but we'll go from community to community, community to community, pick up a torch, and let's walk a torch of New Thought across the country to say, hey, we're peaceful folk too. Mm-hmm. We can be that too. I have all kinds of reasons why we won't do it, but is not now the time for New Thought to finally stand up and say, we're more than just some closet meditators on a cushion watching the world revolve around ourselves?
I'm just saying, like, there are so many places to go with that in terms of like why we won't do it and a whole bunch of stuff. And one of the first things that come to my mind is, you probably saw the video on Instagram or TikTok when a young Christian gentleman of brown skin confronted the monks and called them evil and satanic and all the whole 9 yards. And the monk, because it's embodied, was calm and peaceful in every response, because the monks don't simply know what they practice, they live it, to the degree where there is no gap between the practice, the philosophy, the spirituality, there's no space, there's no gap. It's all one. We do not have such, overall, we do not have such a sense of that. In fact, in the daily guides yesterday, there was a statement made by the person that wrote them. I'm not going to say who it was, but there was a statement where I said something about, or something to the effect of, so our question for today is, how do we enter into the mystery of what is possible to craft the probable and manifest the inevitable? Are we ready to close the gap in our beliefs? Because anthropomorphizing God is a gap. Relying on answers and power from outside of ourselves, whether it's channeling messages, whether it's crystals, whether it's angels, whether it's Jesus, it is a gap when we depend on them rather than what Holmes said when he said in our statement of beliefs, we believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may be a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with this indwelling, all-dwelling power and presence. That's why we won't go out there and do it, because we overall do not live in and as this all-dwelling power and presence. The vast majority, I can guarantee you, if someone who had $1 billion interviewed a vast majority of our colleagues, not talking about congregants, our colleagues, what is New Thought? If I get a sense of this, I will give your organization and every single one of your centers, I will give $10 million to every single one of them. If I get a sense of what this is, we would still be broke.
Yeah.
Because the vast majority of us still explain what we are by what we're not. Right. That's not a definition. Mm-hmm. So what is that? What are those pieces? Well, it's not a car. Like, to use Elzia's example, it's not a car. Okay, what is it? It's not a skateboard. Okay, so what is it? It's not an airplane. Okay, so what is it? It's not a boat. Like, at what point do you just say they are pieces for a bicycle so we can put it together?
Mm-hmm. You know, that speaks to a idea that I'm hammering this year. I started last year, but I'm really going to hammer it this year, and that is there is a 13.8 billion year old story. It's told many different ways that speaks to the idea that we teach of oneness and how things evolve from a state of gas that congealed and became us now 13.8 billion years ago, that there is a connective energy, intelligence, mystery, pick a name that resonates with you so that you can get active and understand that there is one thing going on here. We like to call it life, that includes birth and death, and that it is a continual evolution and expansion, as the ancient one said. It is this process of becoming, as we became from gas to us talking and interneting, that we have to really embody and understand. And if we don't understand that, then we're just, as they say in the country, we just spitting in the wind, trying to thinking, oh man, it's raining. No, it ain't raining. You're not in alignment with what's going on in the universe, so nothing's happening, or it's happening in an adverse way. And when we can begin to find the alignment, I had a conversation last thing with someone about this whole idea of authenticity. I'm done with authenticity. What I want to be is I want to be aligned. I want to find my alignment, the mystery of life, and then the rest will fall in place.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Wait. Time out. I got to take issue with you, Elzia. Did you just say we full of gas?
Here we go.
Did you just say we full of gas? Did I hear you right? Was that your way of saying we full of hot air?
Yes. That's a great astute point. I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah, that's the story. You gotta release that gas.
Watch it. Make sure you upwind. Make sure you upwind.
Well, I want to circle back to what you were saying, Raymont, because I did that experiment a few years back. 2023, the World Parliament of Religions was in Chicago. New Thought as a group had arguably the largest, they said we were the second largest denomination, if you will, in attendance that year. And I happened to have a blank slate and a blank background and a camera. And I put every New Thought leader I could in front of that camera, and I said, what is New Thought? And to some extent, most of us came around to something sort of similar. But if your prime benefactor was there, I don't think he would have given away much money. Because as many different leaders, and we are talking about some of the leaders of some of the largest communities in this movement, we each bring that uniqueness. We each say it a different way. We each bring something that leaves just enough for people to say, well, then what the hell is it you do believe? And these are the best of the best. And they didn't go down that road of, well, we're not this, we're not this, we're not this. They were pretty clear. This is what we are. But it is such a broad range of who and what we are that it becomes really difficult to pin us down.
Right. But the thing is, and I'm sure, Elzia, as someone who, taught college or university, when someone says, this is my genre, whether it's psychology, sociology, etc., all of the psychology professors know how to explain what psychology is, even if they use different words to express or explain or where they start from. Some may start with Freud, some may start with Jung, some may, like, they bring in different things, but everybody who hears it can trace it back to, oh, it's psychology. Oh, it's theater. It's the theater arts. Oh, this is what surrealism is. Oh, this is what cubism is. We don't have that kind of uniformed where I can express it in a different way, but I can come back to and say, yeah, I can see how your definition of psychology and his definition of psychology and her definition of psychology, I got it. It's still psychology. We don't do that because we still buy into the rugged individualism as a concept so powerfully that it's actually separating us rather than unifying us.
That's excellent, because when we talk about, in a lot of the ancient teachings and systems that brought young men and women into adulthood, or whatever stage of life they were in, it inevitably, in one way or another, spoke to this 360-degree circle of life. Makuta Matata. We can go there. And the interesting piece of it is and we just gonna keep it at the degrees. We're not going to go to half degrees, but just at each one of those degrees is a different perspective of the 360. And it takes that whole piece together. Once I understand we're talking the same genre, as Dr. Raymont said, now I can bring my degree 10 and your degree 20 and that degree 300 together and see how we work together. So the competition goes away. The jealousy goes away. The envy goes away. The one-upmanship goes away, because we're all talking about the same thing. And now I can see where I feed you, you feed me. Now we can get the wheel, the 360-degree wheel, circle, spiral moving, so that we begin to understand and create and support and sustain and all those things. And sometimes it's an uphill journey. Just I may be coming upside of that 360. Sometimes I'm going down, but it's all one thing. And so I don't get bent out of shape when I got to go up, or I don't get too comfortable when I got to go down. That's what we have to begin to work with and understand. That's embodiment.
Well, there we go. And folks, we've kind of done that thing where if you ever drive home from work and miss your exit, we kind of totally blew past our first commercial break today. So rather than try to squeeze two in, we're just going to call this a bonus episode and only do one commercial break. We're going to do that right now. We're going to take a couple of quick minutes, let Dr. Raymont have a sip of water, let you take a stretch, and say hello to our organizational sponsors and our individual donors and such. But we'll be right back in just a moment or so with more with Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson here on the New Thought Today program, part of the New Thought Media Network. Please don't go away. Stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you.
And we're back with more of New Thought today here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm Dr. Robert. My co-host, Reverend Elzia, and I welcome our special guest, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson from the, now I want to get this right because I rarely do. It's the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts.
Correct.
And we would be very remiss if we didn't spend at least a few moments giving you a chance to explain a little bit more about what that means and how you're showing up in the world. So tell us a little bit more about your ministry before we get back into the fire stuff.
Perfect. So thank you for the opportunity. So one, the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts is a teaching center within Centers for Spiritual Living. And the focus, once they see, this is where CSL made a mistake. They said, you get to do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. Ha! So it is a place where I have brought all of my passions in the arts to say, why do we relegate spiritual practice to being meditation or journaling or this or that? If we are going to teach and educate that God is all there is, oneness is all there is, then that means this individualized expression of the divine, washing dishes, is a sacred practice. It is spiritual practice because the universe is washing this thing called plate, which is also an expression of the universe. Then it's all spiritual practice when I embody it that way and come from that consciousness, period. So that's our main focus, is how do we address everything we do? All of it. Going to watch the newest Marvel film, that is going to church because it is a story. Stories are metaphysical opportunities for a deeper understanding of self. So Ray, where are you going today? I'm going to church. Who's preaching today? Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. Like, okay, like if that's what it is, that's what it is. But all of this, everything, going out to a park, watching the kids blow bubbles, all of that becomes church. So at SIA, that's sort of where we are in terms of my focus. I do my best to offer critical thinking. I offer people the opportunity to really deep dive into, what does this mean? This is okay, so what does that mean? How do you apply that? And then have conversation about it. Okay, so we're discussing Dr. Holmes and the textbook, or, this thing called life. Okay, cool. Read the line. Okay, do you agree with it? No, I don't. Okay, why not? Okay, and then we literally, let's do what physicians do by extrapolating from the words instead of doing what our Christian siblings do, cherry picking from the Bible. Don't simply read what Holmes said and say, well, Dr. Holmes said. Cool, he said it. Say it in your own way. Use your own words to express the concept. Because if I simply say, well, Dr. Holmes said, show me 1,000 people who know what... Okay, you're great with quoting. Are you also great with applying? Are you great with living? So I do my best to push people into that to push people into that space of what it means to take the words from the page, put it into their body, and live it. In essence, that's what it is. And also, because I'm pulling from all kinds of things, I'm beginning to pull some of my passion for Afrofuturism into, so how does this now align with, because it's always been there, we just don't use those words. Well, I want to start using those words. I want to start with the whole, I'm going all the way down the rabbit hole with this one. And lastly, this great invention called AI that so many of our colleagues, they do the whole Frankenstein, like they do which I understand. Yeah, I saw the Terminator. I saw the Matrix. I understand. However, we have a great opportunity to dive into the mystery and use AI as the tool that it could be to push us into the next state of evolution of creating a world that works for all, truly. So I've started creating music videos to, like, I'll take the lyrics that I wrote, put them in an AI program. Okay, here's the music I want. I want it to sound like gospel. I want it to be a choir. And then, okay, now I have the track. And then I'll go into another program and select videos and sit down. So easily, one music video is a 9-hour project. I'm loving it. I'm putting them out there, and it's getting great response from people. So just a different way of reaching a different generation of people with what we offer and what we teach.
Beautiful. I want to get some of these music videos, put them on the Substack, on the New Thought Media Substack.
Okay.
And put them as part of our media drops category, and start promoting them that way. So
and if I could just, we've been threatening. Now I've been threatening, or somebody's been threatening for you and I to get together on a couple of things. But what I just heard you say, the moment you started talking, now some people may not be familiar with this, but I thought about Kwai Chang King.
Yes.
And the whole idea of Kung Fu, when he came to a different world, he was able to take all of the different arts and training. There it is. Yes. And we talked about the monks earlier, and that's what that symbolizes. That symbolizes taking all things, understanding the oneness, and allowing the music, whether they're playing flute or the gardening or the martial arts or the singing or the dancing or the healing. That is what this is. And that's why they can do the thing they do. As some people might not know, one of the monks lost his leg while on that walk. Would you have the conviction to do that in that kind of possibilities, if you will?
Right.
So there's a thing here. There's an energy. There's a fire that's burning right now, especially as we start the new year with the horse and the fire, and that hasn't happened since 1966. If you're into symbology at all, it's time right now. So the question is, what you gonna do?
Right. Z. So look, as soon as you say one, make sure I get your email address, because I've emailed you about the movie thing, and I might have the wrong address. But other than that. So as soon as you said Kwai Chang Caine, my mind immediately jumped to so there's that section in the show when he says, "Perceive the way of nature, and no force of man can harm you. Do not meet a wave head on. Avoid it." Woo! Yeah. Dude, just that one line. Just that one line. Be in the flow. Yes. You do not have to force.
Yes.
Be in alignment with. And nothing can stand against you. Woo! I need a tambourine.
Yes.
We're kind of well beyond the point. Again, folks, we've been just blowing past the exits today, like they don't exist. Because normally on this program, we like to dig in and ask the very simple question: what do you see as the future of New Thought? We've asked you this before, and you've gone there without us even asking today. Because what I hear, and what I think what you would continue to say is, we're meeting people where they are. We're meeting people and we're not trying to shove New Thought down their throat. We're not trying to say, "Hey, look over here, I've got this great thing you should buy from me." We're showing up. And this is one of the things I've always appreciated about your ministry, showing up as the most aligned, authentic self of yourself as you possibly can, and really living this. Not just talking about it, not just saying, "Find me 1,000 people." Because honestly, I think we got more than 1,000 people already, and I've seen paradise. So let's figure out what's the next step. And so if you really did have pulled into your crystal ball, where will we be in 5 or 10 years if we continue along this path of really aligning ourselves with the principles and living them more than just teaching them?
So it's a rather difficult question to answer in terms of, because if I'm honest, the masses are going to continue to fizzle and drizzle and fade out. Because if we continue to go the course we are going, there's no sustainable structure. When you have ministers who say things like, "Oh, he did it, didn't he?" Yes, we'll answer it. When you have ministers who say things regarding like convention, well, why isn't convention more affordable to a lot of us, to a lot of people? It's well in that range. And we have ministers and people who say, well, they're not holding the consciousness of, and they need to pray more. Okay, then our leadership, you, the ministers, why are you relying on us to tithe to you? Why aren't you walking the same thing you're telling them to walk? That kind of hypocrisy is going to continue to cause centers and churches to close, and individual centers, etc., will continue to maintain their own authority and their own sovereignty. But in terms of organizationally, it's not sustainable, because there are a lot of us who have bought into and drank the Kool-Aid of this person, Eckhart Tolle. They're already teaching New Thought. Yeah, but he doesn't say it. So it's not New Thought. It's New Thought adjacent. And Deepak, him whose name shall not be spoken. Yeah, it's New Thought adjacent, but it's not New Thought. When we start saying this is a hamburger, but it's made out of fish. Yes, but it's a burger. It's hamburger adjacent. That is not a bicycle. It's but it's a bicycle adjacent. If we want New Thought to be sustainable and really live into the vision over the next 5 years, then we really need to get honest about what it means to speak power truthfully and what it means to honestly live it. Because while, yes, many of us are meeting people where they are, there is a whole segment of the population, blind, deaf, differently abled, wheelchair and mobility challenged. We aren't meeting them where they are. The unhoused, transgender, the other LGBT, we are not collectively meeting them where they are. People who are depressed and sad, we are not meeting them where they are. We're meeting these people where they are, those who have the privilege to avoid this. We're meeting them, but not this group.
Boy, oh boy.
There he go. He let out that gas, see?
See, this is the thing right here. That was beautiful, because one of the things we stand on, or we say we stand on in this teaching, is vision and visioning and so forth. And an acquaintance of mine said, if someone does not have a larger vision for themselves, how are they going to have a larger vision for you? And so we have to get back to the principles of this teaching that go back to ancient times of a vision, not a visualization, not anything in that genre, but a vision, a truly inspired picture, image, feeling, symbol. It comes in many different ways that says, I'm going to hit the bell again, there is a oneness in the universe. And when I can capture the wholeness and vision of it, everything falls into place. And that's what we're not doing. We're not really, as we spoke earlier, we're not buying into that embodiment. And when we do, it'll happen, as they say, overnight.
So dare I say, it's time to activate even greater Dr. King's vision of a beloved community. And in honor of Reverend Jesse Jackson today, maybe we just need to start calling that a beloved rainbow community.
Yeah.
And and kind of and go back and let go of trying to be something unique in the universe and rely on empowering and activating and engaging and embodying a greater vision than even just a world that works for everybody.
I got to say this one thing, because you just, man, this is just ooh-wee. Dr. King, in his I Have a Dream speech, said this: I've been to the mountaintop and I've seen on the other side, which was great and fine. But the kicker was, for me, I may not get there with you.
Right.
It's not about me individually. It is about the oneness. It is about the wholeness. And that's where the focus was. He say, I may not get there with you, but I know, I feel, I sense, I can visualize this thing happening, and my energy is going there, and I'm done.
And just add into that. So for those who may not be familiar with, the Bible, Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish.
Yes.
But happy are they who maintain the law. Happy are those who operate based on principle. Yes.
Yes. Z, we never set out for this program to be an indictment of New Thought. And I'm not trying to say that's what you just did, but it's about what I'm about to do. Because I may not get there with you. And when I look around the New Thought movement, far too often what I see is come be where I am. I've gotten there, or I'm gonna get there, and I want you to come with me because I'm gonna make it. And we have definitely a tendency to be an awful lot of I stuff, awful lot of I going on, and not an awful lot of we going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been said by others, and we'll say it again. I'm going to say it again. We got to get away from the me and get into the we.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be we and us. That's what community is. We and us.
But don't ever say those words in a prayer, because, there's only one. All right. Folks,
don't get me started
for another hour or two, but I think the last exit before the toll road is about to come up. It's about to hit us, and I don't think any of us want to start paying the tolls here. So we're gonna wrap this up. We want to thank you for being with us here on the New Thought Media Network. Raymont's waving some money around. Oh, I think he does have the toll.
I'm ready to pay the toll.
All right. Well, you can do that at ntmedia.org/donate. That's where you do that at, is you pay your tolls at ntmedia.org/donate. Help us keep this network on the air. If you like what you hear here, like what you're seeing here, please become a part of what's going on here. Dr. Raymont, thank you for being with us. Folks, we didn't even mention the fact that Dr. Raymont has joined the Saturday morning Science of Mind and Spirit Conversation Series team. So you can catch him periodically with us on Saturday mornings as we explore the science of mind philosophy in modern day language while still studying what is rapidly becoming an ancient book. BRZ is a part of that team, as am I. We want to thank you all for being with us. Be back with us again next week, where we'll do more of this with a whole nother guest. And Raymont, I think we got to get you into the irregular schedule of being with us, and make it happen a little more often. So
cool. Let me know.
Till next time, folks. Exactly. Till next time, we wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.